During the Great Depression, a single mother in Oklahoma figured out how to feed 5 children on less than a few cents a day. No gadgets, no cookbooks, just raw cleverness and a refusal to waste a single crumb. What she knew, and what most of us have forgotten, could save you hundreds every month. Let me show you what I mean. A Depression-era kitchen ran on thrift and routine. Each morning, a tin can waited by the stove for bacon grease or roast drippings. 2 tablespoons from 1 slice of bacon could grease a skillet, flavor beans, or bake a dozen biscuits, no butter needed. By week's end, half a quart of saved fat could fry potatoes 3 times, or season every meal until payday. Nothing went to waste. Vegetable peels, chicken bones, and onion ends filled a stock bag. 2 pounds of scraps, a cup of carrot and celery, and salt simmered in 8 quarts of water. The result was a rich broth for soups and gravies, pulling every bit of nutrition from the week's groceries. Stale bread became bread pudding. 2 cups of crusts baked at 350 degrees for half an hour made a simple pudding, or they were ground into crumbs for meatloaf. Even meat stretched further. A 1/4 cup of oats replaced a 1/4 pound of beef, feeding the whole family. A mother's resource hunt didn't end at the grocery store. On a Tuesday afternoon, she would send her eldest to the yard with a basket, eyes trained for dandelion and lamb's quarters. The rule was simple. Dandelion leaves grow in a tight rosette, deeply toothed, never fuzzy, and lamb's quarters feel powdery and look dusted with silver. Anything with a bitter smell or milky sap stayed behind. These wild greens, rinsed twice and blanched, made a free salad or a pot of greens for supper. No coupons required, just sharp eyes and a little caution. A whole chicken, once a Sunday prize, became a week-long plan. Roasted at 190 degrees Celsius until the thigh hit 74 degrees Celsius, the bird's first act was dinner. The next day, cold slices packed sandwiches. Bones, skin, and scraps went straight into a stock bag for a 3-hour simmer, yielding broth for soups and stews. Even the wingtips and back found their way into a final gelatin-rich stock. Nothing wasted, every ounce of flavor wrung out. Salt missteps happened. Too much in the soup? Drop in a raw potato, let it soak, then fish it out before serving. The starch pulled out the excess, saving the meal and the week's groceries. For sweets, apple peels and cores never hit the bin. Simmered with water and a bit of sugar, they made a syrup for pancakes or oatmeal, homemade, cheap, and just sweet enough. Every scrap had a second chance, and every mistake had a fix, if you knew where to look. Evenings in a Depression-era kitchen were a workshop of second chances. Baking soda and vinegar, both cheap and shelf-stable, became the dynamic duo for cleaning and cooking. Half a cup of baking soda sprinkled on a greasy stovetop, chased with a matching half cup of vinegar, produced a fizzing reaction that cut through grime in 5 minutes. No fancy sprays required. The same soda, paired with a half teaspoon of vinegar and a 1/4 teaspoon more, could lift a batch of pancakes or quick bread when yeast ran out. Coffee grounds and tea leaves lived a double life. After brewing, they dried on a tray, then deodorized ice boxes or fertilized the garden. Soap scraps never hit the trash. Each sliver was melted with a splash of water and pressed into a new bar, stretching a single cake for weeks. Flour sacks, once emptied, became kitchen towels, aprons, or even Sunday shirts. Nothing in the house was single-use. Every item was expected to serve again for cleaning, cooking, or clothing before it earned a rest in the bin. This mindset turned the kitchen into a self-sustaining system, where thrift wasn't just a habit, but a point of pride. In the heart of a Depression kitchen, the perpetual pot was more than a meal plan. It was a living system. Every morning, a mother would skim the stew, add a handful of scraps, and keep the pot at a gentle boil, just above 185 degrees Fahrenheit. This routine, passed down like a secret recipe, turned bones, peels, and yesterday's leftovers into a broth that deepened with each passing day. But resourcefulness did not stop at the stove. When it came time to preserve the bounty or safeguard the week's labor, families turned to canning, following strict rules that modern science still backs. Low-acid foods, such as meat stocks, broths, and beans, went into jars and into the pressure canner at 10 pounds per square inch at sea level for 25 to 45 minutes, depending on the jar size. Water bath canning was reserved for high-acid jams and pickles, never for soup or meat. After processing, the jars cooled undisturbed, dropping below 70 degrees within 2 hours, and were then tucked away in the cellar. Any fat skimmed from the perpetual pot could be chilled in the icebox, safe for up to 2 weeks. These were not just old wives' tales. The Farm Security Administration and WPA Home Economics manuals both documented these steps, and today's USDA guides echo them. Meticulous records of dates, times, and pressures filled kitchen ledgers. It was proof that thrift was not guesswork. It was a science, born of necessity, that kept families healthy and every scrap accounted for. Neighbors did not just share recipes. They swapped what they had. A basket of eggs might go for a jar of pickles, or a loaf of bread traded for a quart of home-canned beans. Barter was the original coupon, stretching every dollar and tying households together. When eggs ran short, a tablespoon of ground flaxseed whisked with 3 tablespoons of water took the place of 1 egg in baking. No buttermilk? Add a tablespoon of vinegar to a cup of milk and let it sit. Instant sour milk for biscuits or cakes, no trip to the store. Careful planning made every grocery list count. A family that spent $120 a week could trim it to $84 just by reusing leftovers, swapping with neighbors, and sticking to a meal plan. The math played out on the table. A roast chicken stretched into soup, salad, and sandwiches, then shared with the family next door. By the time the final feast hit the table, golden biscuits, savory broth, garden greens, and bread pudding, everyone had a seat and a story. Thrift was not just survival, it was abundance, multiplied by community. Waste isn't just costly, it's a choice. Every bacon jar or bread scrap can still stretch a budget today. What did your family save or reuse? Share your kitchen wisdom below and pass it on.